Have you ever felt like you barely eat anything and you're still gaining weight? You're eating healthier than ever before. What's going on? Or maybe you felt like my body's just not responding anymore, no matter how healthy I eat. I hear this all the time from women who are 40 and above. And if this is you too, you're not imagining it. But what's actually happening isn't probably what you think. Here's a really important thing. Eating healthy and losing weight are not the same thing. And once you hit your 40s, this gap gets even bigger. Let's walk through the real reasons why you're gaining weight even though you're eating healthy. Reason number one, healthy doesn't mean low calorie. Here's the thing. You've cleaned up your diet, you're eating better quality foods, you're really paying attention to what you're eating. I hear women say all the time, I eat clean, I do not eat junk. And yes, when I look at their food logs, I might see that they're eating really clean foods, organic foods, grass-fed, and so on. But here's the problem. That still does not mean low calorie. And this is why eating healthy foods alone is not enough. No matter how clean the foods are, if you're overeating them and eating more calories than what you need, you're going to gain weight. For example, you might be having several tablespoons of your super clean organic almond butter, or this perfect clean farm to table type of whatever fancy wine, and those super healthy nuts and a lot of organic avocado, and all of a sudden you've taken in hundreds of calories of those foods that you thought are so healthy, but they're adding up. And you may feel like, I don't even eat that much, and that could be true, but if these foods are calorie dense, then they do add up. So it might be that, yeah, you really are not eating junk foods, but if you're eating those high calorie foods and you're eating just a little more than what your body needs and you do it consistently, this is where you're gaining weight. Of course, eating clean and organic is great for your health. You're getting more vitamins and minerals and all the good stuff. But when it comes to your weight loss, what still matters is your calories. Honestly, when it comes to your weight loss, your body doesn't care if your granola was maple kissed, or if your almond butter was small batch, stone ground, if your fancy shake was some kind of whole food vitality brand, but it came with 700 calories. When it comes to calories, this stuff really doesn't matter. If you overeat, you're going to gain weight. So the bottom line here is, if you're not in a calorie deficit, then weight loss just cannot happen, even if you eat the cleanest foods on earth. The reason number two why you might be gaining weight even though you're eating healthy is that you may not be eating enough of the foods that actually help you lose weight. Another thing that I often hear is that I eat healthy, I eat salads every day. And this is very cool. You need to eat your vegetables and your leafy greens for all the vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and all that good stuff. It's very good for your health. But again, when I look at somebody's food log, what I might see is that they have a small side salad that is kind of sad with a little bit of lettuce and a couple of slices of tomato and a tiny piece of chicken and some croutons. And the main part of the meal is heavy on rice or pasta, or it's a sandwich or something like that. So technically, yeah, by eating the salad, you are eating healthy foods. And there's nothing wrong with eating rice or pasta or sandwiches either. But if you want to lose weight, you have to focus on foods that help you lose weight. What your body really needs is more protein and more high fiber vegetables. Here's the key difference. Foods like rice and pasta and breads absolutely will make you full, of course, but they do it at a much higher calorie cost. Protein and high fiber vegetables also make you full, but at much lower calories. And that's the shift you need to make. You have to start building your meals around a real good chunk of protein. So that could look like 4 to 6 ounces of meat. That's about 113 to 170 grams of meat. And then to that, you add a large volume of vegetables. I'm not talking about that tiny, sad little lettuce thing, but actually a big bowl of either salad, or it can absolutely also be cooked vegetables. Some people do much better. Their digestion is much better when they eat cooked vegetables, so that's not a problem. You can have that. But the point is that you have to have that high protein and then high fiber food. And these are the things that you really need to prioritize. And what you want to have on the side, whether it's pasta or rice or bread, absolutely fine. You can have that. But if you have that protein and high fibers vegetables and you really emphasize those things, I mean, like really emphasize, it probably is going to feel like this is so much protein. If you do these things, then absolutely you're going to start seeing weight loss because you will have less need for all these other things that are calorically more dense. If you want to figure out exactly how much protein you should eat for your weight loss goal, go ahead and get my free guide, the Calorie Setup Guide. You can find it in description. The third reason why you might be feeling like you're eating very healthy, but you just cannot lose weight is the fact that you have been dieting on and off for a long time. This one is huge and it hits home for so many women. I've heard so many times that women tell me, I've been dieting pretty much all my life. Some women have been dieting since they were 9 years old, and that's really sad. This fact right here is from Medical Daily, and it shows that an average woman spends about 17 years of her life on diets and loses weight more than 9 times. And here's another fact, and even more shocking. The average adult tries around 126 different diets in their lifetime. I gotta say, I did not even know that this many diets could exist, but I looked it up and there are so many different diets. The cycle of getting on a diet, falling off, getting on a diet, falling off is so incredibly common. And if diets worked, nobody would have to do 126 diets or even 10 diets. Nobody would have to do that in their lifetime. And I will say, if you have found something that works for you and has worked for years, that's cool, stick with it. But most women that I talk to, they say they were able to stick with something for about a year, if that, before they fell off. So why is it that we fall off? It is because most diets are really restrictive. Either the calories are super low so that nobody can do this, or some foods or food groups are completely out and you cannot live like this. They're just so rigid and so hard to sustain. I've heard women tell me that they were eating as little as 800 calories a day. So this is one of the reasons why you might be feeling, I'm eating healthy. Why am I not losing weight? If you are on a diet, you really may feel like you're doing something healthy for your body, but actually you're just going through these cycles of on a diet, off diet, on and off all the time. And you fall off because you cannot stick with it. And it's so natural. It usually has nothing to do with your willpower. It's just the fact that all these diets are just so crazy extreme. So what happens when you fall off is really predictable. Let's say you go on a party and you just cannot be this hungry anymore. You've been handling this deep hunger for a couple of months. And there comes a point where you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And this is where you dive into the cake and chips and all of that stuff that you haven't let yourself have in so many months. Then you fall off and then you eat and then you continue to eat, and then this cycle goes on and on. Sometimes it lasts for a weekend and sometimes for a week and then sometimes for months. And this is when we gain a lot of weight back. Again, this is not some sort of character issue or willpower issue. This is just the fact that you were just restricting yourself so hard because you're following a specific diet that told you that you cannot have carbs or that you cannot exceed 1,000 calories or whatever the stuff was. The really sad story about weight regain is that you're not gaining muscle. If you gain muscle, that would be kind of cool, but you're gaining body fat. And did you know that you can actually even put on fat cells? Yes, that's true. Repetitive dieting, every time when you start eating again and overeat again, you can actually increase the number of fat cells in your body. And later when you get on a diet again, you can shrink those cells, but you cannot remove them. So over time, all this makes fat loss harder and not easier. So if you have been on so many diets and tried one and quote unquote failed and tried another one and failed, then this is the reason why you feel like, but I'm doing this healthy thing. What the heck is going on? My body is not responding. But you probably have just dieted for way too long and you've fallen off way too many times. And this is not how you can obviously sustainably lose weight. The reason number 4 why you may feel like I'm eating so healthy, but I'm still gaining weight is that you are not aware of your portion sizes. This is where tracking your food becomes really powerful. And I've heard this from so many of my clients. They take the first week to track their food and they're like, my eyes are open now. I had no clue that I'm taking in so many calories and that they're coming from all of these foods. I had no idea. Because oftentimes they feel like they're eating just really small amounts. You know, little bit of nuts, I mean, that's not too bad. Some chips, how bad could that really be? And it's not bad. Calories are not bad. Chips are not bad. It's not about being good or bad. It's about awareness of, oh, I ate this bag of chips and yeah, maybe they were small batch, avocado oil, cleanest, whatever, perfect chips, but I ate half a bag of them and now I just took in 500, 600 calories. I had no idea. And of course, the problem is that in addition to going way over your calorie needs, these fast processed foods only make you want more of the same things. Compared to that, to a 500 or 600 calorie meal, that's a real meal with a source of protein, with a bunch of vegetables, with maybe a little rice or something on the side, and you could have a real full meal, feel satiated, feel happy. If you strength train, you're gonna put on muscle when you eat this way over a period of time. And when you compare that to the same amount of calories that you get from a bag of potato chips, you just see what makes more sense. And when you eat a real meal, nice plate of real food, then you're not gonna crave more stuff. You're just gonna be feeling good. And when you learn to understand that this small amount of chips gave me so many calories, you really start to think, how do I want to use my calories? And one food causes you more cravings, so you're going over your calories even more, and the other, actually, because you're going to feel fuller and satiated, will help you with your weight loss. You don't have more cravings. You just don't have to eat anymore. The reason number 5 why you might be eating healthy but still not losing weight and body fat is that probably you're not strength training, or at least you're not strength training the right way. I hear this quite a bit. I do walk and I do cardio a couple of days a week and I take those group classes at the gym. That's great. That's great for your health. Movement is great for your health. And having cardiovascular health that you can get from hiking and walking and jogging, it is important. But it's not enough for fat loss at this stage in your life because your body is changing and you need to put on muscle. You naturally lose muscle as you age. And if you don't do anything about it, you continue to lose it. With less muscle on your body also burns less energy throughout the day. When you have muscle on your body, it literally does the work for you. Of course, you have to build that muscle. It doesn't show up from nowhere. But once you have built a solid foundation, your body is burning actually so much more energy. That means you have a higher metabolism. Everybody wants to have a higher metabolism, but not too many people understand where to get it from. You get that higher metabolism from eating a lot of protein and lifting weights. You don't get that higher metabolism by making yourself run 5 days a week, long distances. When you build muscle, your body becomes metabolically more active. And I've seen this over and over again. Women start training 2 to 4 days per week, and it changes everything for them. They realize that they don't need to cut their calories super low in order to get weight loss and fat loss results. Things really start to click for them. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, my body is changing. My shape is changing. My belly fat is down. I feel stronger. My jeans are feeling different. All these things are starting to happen once this piece really clicks. And if you're not lifting weights yet, go ahead and get my totally free workout plan. It's called Fit from Scratch, and you can choose between the beginner option, which is done with only body weight, and the intermediate option, which is done with dumbbells. I demonstrate you all of the movements. I do the entire workout with you. So go ahead and grab that workout guide. It is in the description. So you are not broken. You're not broken. Your body just needs a different approach. It needs different food and it needs different movement. Everything starts to click. And maybe for the first time in a very long time, your body is starting to respond again. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and check out the next video as well.